There comes a moment in your life when you realize the most powerful thing that you can do is not react, not explain, not defend, but to detach in silence and focus on yourself. And when you do that, you don't lose control of your life. You get your life back. And today we are going to talk about what it really means to detach in silence, why it restores your power so deeply, and what this actually looks like in your day-to-day life when you choose yourself without saying a word. Because this one shift, this quiet internal decision can change everything. Hi everyone, I'm Esther Bartkiw. I help people remember who they truly are beneath the layers of stories and noise from this lifetime and beyond, so that the real you can emerge untamed and free. If you enjoy content around personal and spiritual growth, please give this video a like. Let's start by speaking directly to what might be happening inside of you right now. You may be tired, not physically tired, but emotionally tired. Tired of explaining yourself, tired of overgiving, tired of being the one who cares more, reaches out more, smooths things over, or holds everything together. And maybe part of you has started to notice something important, that every time you react, you lose energy. That every time you explain, you feel smaller, and every time you stay in a situation where you're not honored, you feel like you have abandoned yourself. This is where detachment begins, not as an action, but as a shift in the relationship that you have with yourself. Detachment is the moment you stop asking, what do I need to do to keep this going, to keep this relationship going? And start asking, what is this costing me? So what is detachment and what is it not? Let's clear that up. Detachment is not isolation. It's not being cold. It's not being mean, angry, or passive aggressive. Detachment is clarity. It's realizing I'm not being honored here. I'm not being respected. I am losing myself in this situation. And instead of demanding that someone else change, you change your position and your stance. You remove yourself from the situation. You redirect your energy to something more positive and uplifting. You choose yourself. That is not rejection of others. This is self-respect. So why is the silent detachment most powerful in these situations? Well, here's where the real power comes in. When you detach quietly with silence, you stop leaking energy. You no longer react. You no longer justify. You're no longer trying to be understood. And something profound happens when you detach quietly. You stop chasing clarity and you become clear. And this is really important. So let me sit here with you on this topic. Because when you're chasing clarity, you're usually chasing it outside of yourself. You're hoping someone will explain themselves better. You're waiting for closure. You're looking for reassurance, validation, or a sign that you're not just imagining things. You're thinking, maybe if I just understood them a little bit more. Maybe if they finally said the right thing. Maybe if I just have one more conversation with them. But clarity doesn't come from conversations that keep looping. Clarity comes from self-honesty. The moment you stop chasing answers from other people and you turn inward instead, something settles. And you realize, I actually already know how this makes me feel. And I don't feel safe here. I don't feel seen here. I don't feel respected here. And that knowing doesn't shout. It doesn't argue. It doesn't need proof. It's quiet, steady, and grounded. And when you become clear, you stop needing people to agree with you. You stop needing permission to step back. You stop needing the story to make sense for anyone else because your body knows, your energy knows, your nervous system knows, and your soul knows. And from that place of clarity, your actions become simple. You say less. You explain less, you react less, not because you're shut down, but because you are self-led. And that is the difference. Chasing clarity keeps you entangled. Being clear sets you free. Silence does something words never can. Silence says, I trust myself. I don't need permission. I don't need to convince you of my worth. And this is when you move from reacting to attracting, from performing to being, from proving to choosing. Now, this might look like not responding to texts right away, not to punish the person, but because you're listening to yourself, or stepping back from a family dynamic that leaves you drained, or no longer over-explaining your boundaries. Saying less and meaning more, choosing peace over being right. You don't announce it. You don't post about it. You don't give speeches. You just adjust your life because you've learned something. You don't walk away from people to teach them a lesson. You walk away from people because you have learned your lesson. When you don't detach, when you stay in spaces that don't honor you, it costs you. It costs your peace, self-trust, your nervous system, your joy, your sense of self. You may keep the relationship, but you lose yourself, and no connection is worth that. But when you detach quietly, consciously, you gain inner peace, emotional stability, self-respect, clarity, and your personal power. You stop needing validation. You stop outsourcing your worth. You start feeling rooted again. And this is self-power. Here's another truth that frees people deeply. You do not need to announce your boundaries. You don't need to explain why you are leaving. You do not need to justify choosing yourself. That urge to explain often comes from old conditioning, people-pleasing, fear of being misunderstood, and fear of rejection. But healing says, I don't need to beg to be understood. I choose alignment instead. Let peace speak louder than reaction. Let your growth be private. Let your nervous system settle. Let God guide your next steps. And if someone eventually says, well, why aren't you calling me? Why don't you answer like you used to? Why don't you want to hang out with me anymore? You don't need to give a long answer. You can simply say, I'm choosing me. And that's it. Let me know in the comment section below if this is hitting home and what first step you're going to make to take your power back. I read all of the comments and reply. Now, here's the hard truth about why some people want you to stay. Sometimes people don't want you. They want what you do for them. They want your care, your availability, your emotional labor, your compliance. And when you detach, they feel the absence of the benefit of you, not the loss of the connection. Now, this is not your fault, and it doesn't make you wrong. It makes you awake. That's their issue. Detachment is also surrender. It's self-acceptance, non-resistance, and letting go. All of those terms apply. You can love people. You can like people. just not at the expense of losing yourself. You don't need to harden your heart. You just simply center it. And you keep coming back to this truth. I choose myself. I choose peace. I choose self-power. I choose self-worth. I choose self-respect. And that is a power move. In fact, right now, let's you and I affirm together, I choose peace. Write it in the comments below. I choose peace, and we will affirm it together, because when you do this, your entire life begins to change. Your relationships shift. Your energy changes. Your standards rise. Your peace deepens. Not because you forced anything, but because you finally aligned with yourself. Now, if you're listening to this and something inside of you is saying, it's time to stop people pleasing. It's time to stop doing other people's bidding. It's time to stop letting other people run my life. I am ready for peace. I am ready for self-love, self-worth, and self-respect. And I can help you create all of that inside of you so that it naturally reflects in your outward reality. Below, there's a link to my session information in the description box, so you can check it out. And if we haven't worked together before, please reach out to me prior to signing up so we can discuss the right and perfect next step for you. Oh, and please watch the video that's popping up on your screen right now. It is a very nice complement to what we have talked about here today.